Joining us now with reaction, radio talk show host Larry Elder, Fox News political analyst Juan Williams, former NYPD detective Bo Dietl. What are we to make of this Washington Post report where a prisoner is corroborating that in this transport van at the time with Freddie Gray, that he's banging up against the walls of the vehicle, and he says, thinking he's intentionally trying to injure himself?
You know, from the beginning, when you see the video, you see him being dragged, his feet are really not moving. But then when he gets to the van, you see him actually stand up. I'm very familiar with spinal injuries.
By the way, he stood up with one leg. He climbed into the van on his own.
And spinal injuries, Mike Cerevolo's son broke his neck in a diving accident. That's one of my big charities, so I'm very familiar with this. There is not a shot in hell that that man could have stood up if he had a severed spinal column at that point. Now, once he gets into the van, we don't know. The only thing that I'm just a little weary about is once he was taken into the hospital, I'm just hoping that they took toxicology of his blood at that time to see if he's under the influence of possible drugs, which would have caused him to react like that. And I've had guys in the back of my car.
Either that, or so is he angry that he got arrested? Let's get Juan in this. Juan, I mean, he climbed in, he stood on one leg, climbed into the van on his own. Certainly, that tells us that he wasn't that severely injured when he got into the van.
Well, he sort of looked like he was limp when he dragged him to the van, but I agree with you. It looked like he had some control when he stepped in.
Right.
The question is, how did he then get the injury that, of course, severed his spine and a week later led to his death?
Let's just assume that this whole report by the Washington Post is true. Larry Elder, coupled with him getting in the van himself, you're an attorney. I would assume that this is going to be very difficult to prove negligence if, in fact, you have a witness that's saying that he's banging up against the wall. They stopped the van twice to try and assist him. Isn't it going to be a hard case to prove against the officers?
Difficult.
If that turns out to be true?
It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult. And as you pointed out, this has been a rush to judgment. Sean, I have a good friend who was a retired assistant DA, LA County, 30 years. He has a brother who had a stroke. They put him in an ambulance, didn't strap him down very well. The ambulance came to a quick stop, and this man broke his neck. They sued. They ultimately got a judgment. But the point is, something happened in the van. We don't know whether it was criminal. It might have been negligent. We have no idea. And for Obama to weigh in the way he has is irresponsible.
But it was certainly, if you have a prisoner in the van making that testimony, isn't that going to be very difficult for them to overcome that argument?
Absolutely. It'll be extremely difficult. You have a very high burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt of criminality. Right. I'm not even sure, Sean, anybody's going to be charged.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Hang on. We're going to go back to our panel. Our panel stays with us, and we'll continue our live coverage of the protests happening around the country on the special edition of Hannity. Straight ahead. Larry Elder, weigh in. There's no evidence that we have that shows the police reacted in a way that would suggest they gave him a rough ride because they had to stop 3 times in the process of bringing him to the station, right?
Sean, here's the issue. We have a very popular mayor who got elected with 85% of the vote. This is not Ferguson. You can't say that these people don't have political representation. You have a police department that's run by a black guy. 40% of the cops are black. Why don't we wait until they investigate? I think we're up to 4 investigations now, Sean, including the one by the DOJ, a black female attorney general, and these people in the streets don't trust this investigation to be thorough and fair. What's the point in electing these people then? Why have the elections? How about giving these people an opportunity? We're not talking about Bull Connor or George Wallace. We're talking about a black female mayor, and we're talking about a black president and a black AG. Let's let the process work.
All right, but wait a minute. Now you're raising another question, Larry, and that is that we have a president. He's now a 4-time loser because in these high-profile race cases, Cambridge police, Trayvon Martin, Ferguson, Missouri, and in this case, he sent 2 White House representatives, gives the country a lecture about race, pretty much blames the Republicans for the situation in Baltimore, and he had no evidence to go on in any of those cases, and yet he speaks out anyway. How big an impact do you think that has on the communities?
Well, the point, though, Sean, is he cares. He's concerned. So there's every reason to believe that whatever happens will be thorough and fair and done in good faith.
Why you don't believe that you don't think it's irresponsible for the President of the United States to use the bully pulpit without any evidence or facts and rush to judgment and make statements like he has?
He has made irresponsible statements about race matters his entire career. this is just one continuing series. What about Debbie Wasserman Schultz saying that the Republicans want to roll back the clock to civil rights? What about Charlie Rango saying that the Republicans don't believe that slavery is over? These are the kinds of statements that Democrats make all the time. And as far as I'm concerned, Baltimore is what happens when the intersection of the grievance culture meets the welfare state, and all these children being raised without fathers. There's a direct relationship between that and imprisonment and crime and dropout and bad economy.
All right, welcome back to the special live edition of Hannity. We continue with radio talk show host Larry Elder, Fox News political analyst Juan Williams, and former NYPD detective Bo Dietl. Larry, let me go to this question for you, which is we learned from Sheriff Lewis tonight and my sources on the ground in the police department in Baltimore that, in fact, it was the mayor of Baltimore on Monday that ordered those cops to stand down. That's why they were in retreat. That is outrageous that she would let that happen.
She's of course denying that she did that.
Yeah, well, we have her on record as also saying I gave them room to destroy, and then she denied saying that too. And we have it on tape.
And what's happening all over the country, Sean, is that police officers are becoming more and more passive. If you're going to accuse them of brutality, you're going to accuse them of racial profiling, fine. We'll answer 911 calls, and that's all we're going to do. And crime is going to go up. There's a real consequence in calling police officers occupiers and racists. They're going to pull back, and the people who are going to suffer are going to be the very same people that made the accusation.
Let me go to one good
black
story.
People living in the inner city.
I want to go to this mom who saw her son throwing rocks, sees him on television, races down there, grabs her kid, slaps him around like the good old days, like I got, you got, you deserve more than you got.
You got.
All right, Larry, I don't know if you got hit. I got hit.
I don't think he got hit.
I did. Oh, yeah.
But if every parent would act like this woman, like look at these two shots, bam, bam. I'm like, that reminds me of my father. My father, you know, if I got out of line, that's what happened. I'm surprised liberals haven't said, when are they going to arrest her?
Sean, he's dressed like a ninja. He said, come on, Mom, I'm a ninja today. You're making a fool out of me. All my friends are looking.
But you know what? This mother loves her son and pulled him out of that mess and did the right thing.
Yeah, and let me just say, you know what? She did that because she said this. She didn't want him to be Freddie Gray.
Yeah.
Now that comes from the heart. She didn't want the child to get in trouble. Now let me also add this. You know, when you see this,
open hand.
When you see this, what you are looking at is thuggish behavior that council member wouldn't admit to you. Because you know what? The reason that people say it's thuggish behavior is because it's criminal, wrong behavior.
But she said she actually saw him throwing rocks.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's about, I think, black people being uptight about the word, thinking white people are using it as a euphemism for the N-word. But you know what? The fact is, that kid was up to trouble and thuggish behavior.
All right, Larry?
That's the word.
Hey, Juan, where was his father? Where was his father?
Well, as much as we celebrate the mother, I still wonder where was the father.
She has 6 kids.
But she's a single mother. She has 5 daughters and 1 son.
No, but Larry's point, my point is, again, a broken family, lack of authority.
We don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in her family. I don't want to rush the judgment.
Where was his father? Right.
Well,
where was his father?
But we don't know.
Larry.
I mean, and you know what? I'm not
absent.
I will say this. That woman deserves the Mother of the Year.
Well, I'm all for that. I'm just saying.
But your liberal friends in past incidents would be out there screaming, arrest the poor lady.
No, they want to lock her up for child abuse.
You missed the point here again, but what can
your people want to lock her up for child abuse.
Let me just tell you something. We talk about my father. If my father hit you, you'd be flat on your back and look like.
Listen, I remember one time my father came out. The only difference was he had a belt in that hand when he took that swing.
I'm used to the belt.
I got the belt. Yeah, but you needed more.
Yeah, it was good.
He's an angel, angel divine.
Thank you all for being with us. That is all the time we have left. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Baltimore. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you back our normal time tomorrow night. Thanks for being here.